is Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
Hello and greetings. I'm Tansai Gabiao and you are tuned into POA News. Join us for a comprehensive coverage of the events impacting our region and beyond. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Wednesday bid a warm farewell to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who concluded a historic two-day state visit to Addis Ababa Bole International Airport, marking a new era in India-Ethiopia relations. The farewell ceremony, marked by high-level diplomatic honors, followed 48 hours of intensive activity-packed bilateral engagements aimed at deepening the partnership between the two ancient civilizations. The visit was characterized by several landmark moments and significant policy discussions, including the bestowing on Prime Minister Modi of Ethiopia's highest civilian award, the Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia, for his exceptional contribution to strengthening the India-Ethiopia partnership. Wide-ranging talks covered agriculture, cybersecurity, mining, and digital public infrastructure, while India emphasized its commitment to launching several projects under the International Solar Alliance in Ethiopia. Before departure, Prime Minister Modi addressed a joint session of the Ethiopian Parliament. Both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to United Nations reforms and coordination on the BRICS agenda following Ethiopia's entry into the group in 2024. Premier Modi's visit was notable for the personal rapport between the two leaders. Upon his arrival on December 16, Prime Minister Abiy made the rare gesture of personally driving Modi to his hotel, including a visit at the Addis Ababa Science Museum and Friendship Park. As Prime Minister Modi departs for Oman for the final leg of his three-nation tour, Jordan, Ethiopia, Oman. With India set to chair the BRICS summit in 2026, the strengthening of ties with Ethiopia is seen as a strategic move to consolidate India's role as a bridge between the G20 and the African continent. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's address, the joint session of the Ethiopian Parliament today, signals a historic deepening of India-Africa ties and reinforces Ethiopia's role as a continental hub for diplomacy. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, along with members of the House of People's Representatives and the House of Federation, welcomed Modi as the visit highlighted Africa's strategic importance in Global South cooperation. Modi acknowledged Ethiopia's rich history, democratic journey, and central place in African diplomacy, describing it as a nation that blends ancient wisdom and modern ambition. He also celebrated centuries-old people-to-people connections, including the contribution of Indian teachers, traders, and soldiers in Ethiopia, while highlighting cultural exchanges that continue to link the two nations.
History is alive in the mountains, in the valleys, and in the hearts of the Ethiopian people. Today, Ethiopia stands tall because its roots are deep. To stand in Ethiopia is to stand where the past is honored, the present is full of purpose, and the future is welcomed with open hearts. The blend of old and new, this balance between ancient wisdom and modern ambition, this is the true strength of Ethiopia. The spirit of Medemar or synergy is very familiar to us in India.
The elevated strategic partnership between India and Ethiopia was presented as a model for Africa-India collaboration, spanning technology, innovation, mining, clean energy, food and health security, and capacity building. Health and security cooperation were also underscored, with India supporting pharmaceuticals, hospitals, telemedicine, and professional training alongside defense collaboration in cybersecurity, joint research, and capacity building. Modi highlighted Africa's global significance, including Ethiopia's centrality in the African Union and BRICS, while reflecting on historical milestones such as Africa's struggle for independence and Ethiopia's Adwa victory as symbols of continental resilience and leadership and global South cooperation.
The global South is writing its own destiny, and India and Ethiopia share a vision for it. Our vision is of a world where the global South rises not against anyone, but for everyone. A world where development is fair, where technology is accessible, and where sovereignty is respected. A world where prosperity is shared and peace is defended. And a world where decision-making reflects today's reality, not the world of 1945. Because the world cannot move forward.
Concluding his address, Modi emphasized the shared vision for the Global South, equitable development, and African-led solutions. The future is calling, and India and Ethiopia are ready to answer. We will walk together as equals, build together as partners, and succeed together as friends, he said. From an African perspective, the visit represents a strong affirmation that Africa is not merely a recipient of foreign engagement, but a strategic partner shaping sustainable, technology-driven, and inclusive development in the Global South. India and Ethiopia have officially elevated their centuries-old relationship to a strategic partnership, strengthening ties across economic, technological, and diplomatic spheres. The announcement came following high-level talks between Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. Radhir Jaswal, official spokesperson in India's Ministry of External Affairs, highlighted the historical roots of the India-Ethiopia friendship, emphasizing shared values, people-to-people ties, and centuries of collaboration.
India and Ethiopia, as you know, have age-old ties. Our friendship, our warmth, our togetherness goes back centuries. Building on this very strong foundation of our people-to-people and historical ties, we have now a very vibrant partnership which spans across sectors: economy, diaspora, technology. And now, both leaders yesterday in their talks, they decided to elevate this partnership to a strategic one. This will give a major boost to our collaboration as Global South partners. As you know, Ethiopia is a very strong champion of Global South issues, and India is also a very strong champion of Global South. We hosted several Voice of the Global South summits in India. Our Prime Minister hosted, where leaders from large number of developing countries in the Global South participated. And through our Prime Minister's leadership, we were able to bring the concerns and issues of the Global South at the global arena, and in particular during our G20 presidency. And as you know, during our G20 presidency, we had African Union. It was an honor for us to welcome African Union as part of permanent member of the G20 grouping.
Jaiswal noted that Ethiopia and India share similar positions on multilateral issues such as climate change, global governance reforms, and development priorities for Africa. He described Ethiopia as a key partner for India and Africa, given its role as the headquarters of the African Union.
Addis Ababa is the headquarters of African Union. In some sense, this is a center where discussions around African issues takes place. We have engaging ties with African Union. Together with African Union, we are working in the multilateral issues on climate change and reforms and global governance. So Ethiopia's partnership becomes very important because several of the issues that we champion are also those which Ethiopia champions. It's natural to be so because we are Global South partners. On reform of global governance, for example, our voice are similar, and we want to see how best we can take forward the development priorities of Africa. Our aspirations are shared. Our historical trajectory has been shared. So together as partners, we want to move forward. And I think Ethiopia is a very important partner in our engagement with Africa.
Anil Kumar Rai, India's ambassador to Ethiopia, underscored the significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit, the first in 15 years, as a milestone elevating bilateral relations from friendship to a strategic level. He explained that the partnership will now cover a wide range of sectors, including agriculture, industry manufacturing, skills development, and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and space sciences. Ambassador Rai also stressed that India aims to support Africa-led solutions to development challenges.
The visit of a Prime Minister of India is taking place at a gap of 15 years, and this is the visit which has elevated the relationship from friendship to strategic level. And this signifies that we have to chalk out a very robust plan to cooperate and collaborate in various sectors, which extends from economy, political consultation, and also at the international level, so that the voice of the developing countries, voice of the most populous country India, and the fastest growing continent of Africa can be strengthened. And such kind of cooperation will extend from sectors like agriculture, industries, manufacturing, skilling, defense cooperation, and also in the new and emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, machine learning, space sciences. So the two leaders have given us a very strong mandate to work on all these sectors and come up with outcomes in shortest possible time. So now both the countries will be working together in closed groups, and they will discuss on issues which are of mutual interest. While doing so, as a country, we want to make sure that the agendas which is set is the agenda of Africa, and there should be Africa-owned, Africa-led, and Africa-driven solution, which India should become the partner.
The strategic partnership signals a renewed commitment by both nations to champion the voice of the Global South, enhance multilateral cooperation, and collaborate on sustainable development and technological advancement. By working closely, India and Ethiopia aim to translate this bilateral vision into actionable projects with a continent-wide impact, reinforcing their shared mission of inclusive growth and stronger South-South cooperation. The Economic Community of Central African States has expressed dismay at the scale of the humanitarian crisis caused by violence in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, which has forced tens of thousands into exile in Burundi, ECA's Commission President Ezekiel Nbigra said Tuesday. According to the ECA's chief, about 25,000 refugees have been received at the Gutamba Reception Center, while nearly 40,000 have arrived at the Buganda Reception Center. He added that the figures increase on a daily basis, with the majority of asylum seekers being women and children. He emphasized that the inaction or the insufficiency of current humanitarian response risks causing disastrous consequences for refugees as well as social and security stability of the nearby population. He therefore called for urgent regional and international solidarity following the escalating human suffering and the alarming deterioration of living conditions among DRC refugees. This calls targets as ECA's member states, the African Union, as well as the entire international community, said Nibingra, stressing the need for immediate coordinated and strengthened efforts to mobilize financial and logistical resources to guarantee urgent humanitarian assistance. Now to business news. South Africa's headline consumer inflation showed to 3.5% year-on-year in November from 3.6% in October, data from the Statistics Agency showed on Wednesday. In month-on-month terms, the consumer price index decreased 0.1% in November compared to an increase of 0.1% in October. At last month's interest rate meeting, the South African Reserve Bank lowered its main lending rate by 25 basis points, citing an improved inflation outlook. The rate cut eased concerns that the new inflation target would prevent the central bank from cutting rates. The bank's next policy announcement is scheduled for January 29. The Tigray Property Fund Real Estate Investment Trust has seen its market capitalization rise over $101 million following acquisitions of Greenfields Retail Center and the Zimri Park drive-thru. In October, Tigray announced the acquisitions of Greenfields Retail Center and Zimri Park drive-thru for $25.13 million. The REIT was launched by Terrace Africa Asset Management, Ltd, in November 2022, becoming the first REIT to be listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Following the transaction, Tigray REIT's market capitalization has increased to over $101 million using a 30-day volume-weighted average price as at the date of release of this pre-close statement. It said the fourth quarter income growth was largely driven by Greenfields Retail Center, which was performed above fund expectations. Moving to sports news, the Nigeria Football Federation has formally petitioned FIFA over the alleged use of the ineligible players by the Democratic Republic of Congo during the African World Cup playoffs. DR Congo defeated Nigeria's Super Eagles 4-3 on penalties in the playoff finals, as a result that secured them a place in the Interconfederation playoffs and ended Nigeria's hopes of qualifying for the 2026 World Cup. According to the NFF, several players who represented DR Congo were foreign-born and only recently cleared to play for the country, despite Congolese laws not recognizing dual nationality. NFF General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi accused the Congolese Football Association of misleading FIFA into approving the players, insisting that their eligibility violated DR Congo's citizenship laws. The NFF argues that FIFA was deceived into granting clearance based on incorrect information and maintains that the players should not have been eligible, as Nigeria now seeks redress after missing a second consecutive World Cup. Nigeria suffered a 2-1 defeat to Egypt in the pre-AFCON 2025 friendly played at the Cairo International Stadium on Tuesday night. The Pharaohs dominated the early exchanges and took the lead in the 28th minute when Mohamed Saber calmly finished a cross from the right to put the hosts ahead. The Super Eagles responded positively and drew level in first half stoppage time, with centre-back Chindoze Awazim heading from Zaidou Sanusi's well-taken free kick from close range. Both teams made several substitutions after the break, but Egypt regained the lead 7 minutes into the second half as Mustafa Mohamed found the net to seal the win. Despite the loss, Nigeria will turn attention to their AFCON 2025 opener against Tanzania next Tuesday, with the team set to travel Fez, Morocco, to Thursday to begin final preparations for their quest for a 4th continental title. Now let's proceed to the latest weather forecast to see what conditions are expected across the area. Before we conclude, we encourage you to watch POA in depth after the news, where we delve into the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's official visit to Ethiopia.
They're industrial parks that the government has built that are really high-end, high-class, plug and play. So you just need to bring in your machinery, employ your staff, and plug it and play, and start exporting.
በአንድ ጎን ኢትዮጵያዊ ነኝ፣ በአንድ ጎን ደግሞ ህንዳዊ ነኝ። ግን ያው ኢትዮጵያ ሀገሬ ናት። ኢትዮጵያ ለኢንቨስትመንት በጣም አመቺ ሀገር ናት። አየርም ይሁን ህዝብም ይሁን ሎኬሽንም ይሁን በተለያየ አቅጣጫ ኢትዮጵያ ለውጭ ኢንቨስትመንት እና ለኢንቨስትመንት በጣም አመቺ ሀገር ናት።
They're industrial parks that the government has built that are really high-end, high-class, plug and play. So you just need to bring in your machinery, employ your staff, and plug it and play, and start exporting.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Ethiopia was highlighted by a grand welcoming ceremony. This visit is significant for strengthening bilateral ties, enhancing India-Africa relations, and promoting the voices of the Global South through their roles in BRICS, contributing to a more equitable global order. Hello and welcome. I'm Gamichi Samandida, your host, joined by Professor Brooke Hailu, who is a senior political scientist and analyst and who has served in the US and the UN. Stay with us. Professor Brooke, thank you very much for joining us and welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes. Well, we have witnessed that the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was welcomed by his Ethiopian counterpart, yes. Dr. Abiy Ahmed, with a grand ceremony at Addis Ababa Bole International Airport and, of course, the Grand National Palace. Mm-hmm. And from your point of view, do you think that this demonstrates the strong and enduring relationship between the two countries?
Yes, indeed it does, really. The way His Excellency the Prime Minister of India, PM Modi, was received was of a high stature. It reflects on the deep relations and bond between Ethiopia and India. From the point of view of foreign policy and diplomacy, in the relationship between states, sovereign countries, there are degrees of unofficial and official visits. These are an official state visit. So it's of the highest rank in terms of diplomacy and protocol and etiquette. So that really shows to what extent Ethiopia wanted to receive her guest, I would say. That is given the long-term relationship between India and Ethiopia, which goes back 2,000 years, even more. So yes, would be my answer.
Yes, of course. How about, the importance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ethiopia, especially in terms of further solidifying and enhancing the relationship between the two countries?
Very good. When we are going to talk about the present and the future in the Indo-Ethiopian or the Ethio-Indian relations, it's worth mentioning the immediate past, at least, in terms of history, the historical setting. India became independent in 1947. And guess what? Ethiopia was one of the countries that were in the first row, I would say, to diplomatically give recognition to India. State-to-state leadership as well. The country of Mahatma Gandhi, the first Prime Minister, Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru, he and Emperor Haile Selassie at the time, and they met at least 3 and 4 times. For example, they met in the 1950s, in 1955, in the Bandung Conference. That was followed up in 1956 by a state visit of Emperor Haile Selassie. This shows you to what extent the bond is very, very cemented. And also they met later on in 1958. Now, Ethiopia and India, from the cultural point of view also, you find Ethiopians who have come to India in the southwestern side of India. One finds Ethiopian coins. This tells us the long history, the food, the culture, the way similarities and the like. All this attests to the fact that there is a continuous relations of the past, the immediate past, and right now as well. So I would say yes, further solidifying of these relations. I will come to that, of course, the signing ceremony and the like. The result was very, very positive, and the outcome was productive, I would say.
Yes, well, we know when it comes to the India-Africa relations, it has, of course, it's on a positive trajectory.
Yes.
And how do you explain the contribution or the role of Prime Minister Modi in this regard?
Yes, well, Prime Minister Modi, India is the largest democracy in the world, by the way. Prime Minister Modi came in 2014, and now in his, he was elected consecutively. He's now in his 3rd term, by the way. That's remarkable in Indian political landscape and history. He is known to be center-right. He's more towards nurturing, entrepreneurship, private business, private capital. He's known for cultivating relations with different key countries of the world, as well as with Africa. He has continued, at least, the Indian-Africa Forum as well. That's a multilateral forum. That was going on since then, 2008, by the way. In regard to Ethiopia, he has continued where the previous governments have stopped, Indian governments. So we have all kinds of relations with India. If we begin with education, the Ethiopian leaders, way back even in the 50s, 60s, and to this day, hundreds of Ethiopians every year, they go on a scholarship granted by the Indian government to India. And India is well known for its high quality education. They have more than 900 universities, believe it or not counting the colleges, by the way. India is much advanced in science and technology. Ethiopia wants educated, more educational force in educated personnel and in administration, and also in agriculture. India is way ahead in scientific agriculture, modern techniques and using of modern means of technology in its application on agriculture, on IT. By the way, Bangalore and all these high-tech cities in India. So our relationship is multifaceted. in pharmaceuticals. In Ethiopia, India's export to Ethiopia is the second largest of Ethiopia, by the way, next to China. This tells you that $500 million worth of annual, sales going on between the two countries in the pharmaceuticals, in science, in technology, space science, and all these aspects. So the future is bright, I would say. This was solidified, coming to your word and coming to what the two leaders have achieved. They have inked an agreement where key agreements were signed in the fields of agriculture, science, space science, IT, e-government, education here again, in terms of also military security, in terms of military relations in security relations. So it's a multifaceted sector, and the two have agreed as BRIC leaders, by the way, both of them. And here again, the truth has to be told. India gave Ethiopia a big support in its admissions to BRICS in 2014, 2024, as you can remember. So we had the solid support of the Indian Prime Minister Modi's government, and Ethiopia succeeded to join BRICS as a full-fledged member. And within BRICS, and this is a bilateral relations, as well as in a multilateral fora in BRICS, in the non-aligned movement as well, these countries are going to deepen their collaboration, where the seeds have been sown in the past.
Oh, good. Well, I just want to ask you about the two countries being members of BRICS states. Well, these countries as members of the BRICS, what peculiar roles do you think the two can play in terms of amplifying the voice of the global south and creating an equitable world?
Very good question. You see, both countries respectively are heavyweights. Ethiopia is one of the leading countries in the African continent. And by the same token, India is one of the leading continents in countries in Asia. India is the number one now populous country in the world, close to 1.5 billion people. Ethiopia is the second largest populous country. Both countries, their settings, socio-economic setting, they were developing an up-and-coming poverty, trying to tackle poverty. Both have a strategy to tackle poverty and to bring about accelerated role of economic development, acceleration. So the two of them have this commonness among themselves. Both have voices, very, very loud voices to speak. India is, by the way, well heard in the United Nations, in ASEAN countries, in Southeast Asian countries, within the non-aligned movement. India is impactful. In the United Nations, India speaks loudly when it comes, let's say, to the reform of the United Nations. Ethiopia also is like a spokesperson of the African continent. So there are a wide range of issues where both have more or less play similar roles in their respective countries. So India is now the fifth, soon a fourth largest economy. Ethiopia is advancing leaps and bounds, 10%, 10.2% annual growth this year. So Ethiopia needs capital. Ethiopia needs technical know-how in education. And India needs market as well. So there is a mutual interest and mutual need among the two people's countries and governments as well. India has got much to offer to Ethiopia in science and technology. And Ethiopia welcomes that. Ethiopia also welcomes Indian investors. Ethiopia welcomes Indian science and technology, progress and know-how. And also, in terms of peaceful use of nuclear reactors, by the way, the Indians are way ahead. In 1974, they became a nuclear power in the world, joining the nuclear club of countries. But they are more also known for the peaceful use of nuclear weapons, rather nuclear technology. And in that respect, Ethiopia looks forward to gain insights and expertise and the transfer of knowledge between the two countries. So I think the future is rosy. Both have a developing country status. India is more advanced. Both have this traditional, quasi-traditional, quasi-modern structure of society where culture has value, familyhood has value, Individualism has also value, but the commonness, caring for all, where the human element is put on the limelight. Both are also committed to bring peace in the world globally, peace and stability. India is committed. Ethiopia is also committed in the Horn, in the African continent, globally. And believe it or not, both are known for their commitment to send troops, blue helmets, in the United Nations in peacekeeping missions. India has sent so far more than 100 troops in the last 4 or 5 decades. So India is number one in troop contribution and engagement in peace efforts. As far as I know, the record speaks that India committed its troops to at least more than 30 peacekeeping missions in the world. Imagine, since the end of the Second World War. Ethiopia is also known to have contributed in the African continent, in Korea in the 50s, of course, and in the Congo in the 60s, and the tradition has continued in Rwanda, in Burundi, in Abyei, in etc., etc. You know what I mean? And Ethiopia was number third and number fourth in troop contribution in the last decade and a half, by the way. So both are committed to maintain peace and security. Both believe that peace and security is a criteria to arrive at social development, the development of both their respective countries. So I think they have got much more in common. And of course, the Indian long culture and tradition, and Ethiopia's thousands and thousands of years of history, that also brings the bond together. And one last point, Indians of Ethiopian origin are known to have contributed even in the political system of India. Some of them were even military commanders of the rulers, the Indian kings at the time, centuries ago. This tells you the bond between us. So I think the two countries are committed. They have set a target, and Ethiopia is highly motivated, energized, and as you can hear and find out from the speech of the Prime Minister Modi, he's excited also. The energy on his side is there, and the commitment is there. And I think these two countries who have begun the journey thousands of years ago, they will solidify this journey in the 21st and in 22nd century. And definitely Ethiopia is going to be one of the leading countries in Africa and in the world. And India is going to rise from the fourth all the way to the second, at least next to China. So the future is rosy for both countries.
Thank you, Professor Brooke. Really, I appreciate the way you explained everything in this brief interview. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Viewers, thank you very much for watching the conversation that we've had with Professor Brooke. And in similar programs next time, we'll come up with new edition. Until then, goodbye. Oh, sorry. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic visit to Addis Ababa on December 16 to 17, 2025 has fundamentally rewritten the script for India's engagement with the African continent. This was not merely a state visit, it was the formalization of Ethiopia as India's strategic partnership in Africa. When Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived at Bole International Airport, he was warmly welcomed by the Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and other senior officials with a grand welcoming ceremony. A yellow and green carpet was rolled out, accompanied by uninterrupted chanting, garlands and other decorations. The welcoming ceremony stretched from Bole International Airport all the way to the National Palace, where he received a formal official welcome. Every element of the ceremony, from the meticulous orchestration to the resolute posture of the National Guard of Honor, radiates purpose. There is elegance in the discipline, genuine warmth in the rich symbolism, and profound significance in the intricate details where music, precise movement, and ancient tradition converge in serene unity. Ethiopia extends gracious hospitality to its guests while remaining unshakably rooted in its enduring heritage. After Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed welcomed Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the National Palace, the two leaders engaged in a private tete-a-tete meeting and expanded bilateral talks involving delegations from both sides. The discussions explored renewed avenues of collaboration aligned with the growing partnership and shared priorities of Ethiopia and India. During the discussion, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said the two countries had decided to elevate their long-standing relationship, which spans over 2,000 years, to a strategic partnership.
Today, we have decided to elevate our relationship from historic relationship to strategic relationship between Ethiopia and India. Our two countries share over thousands of years of connection through trade, diplomacy, education, culture, and even in our food and traditions. These ties continue to shape a deep friendship, collaboration, and mutual respect between our people. We also appreciate your consistent message that Africa's priorities must lead the partnership. These kinds of dignified, respectful message for Africa is very important, Mr. Prime Minister. Keep pushing. That is the type of message we're expecting from all our trusted friends. This aligns fully with Ethiopia's development paths, an African-owned, African-led, and African-defined. Mr. Prime Minister, today we meet with a clear focus to shape a modern partnership grounded in sovereignty, self-reliance, and practical cooperation. Our cooperation is rooted in equality and South-South solidarity. We see strong alignment between our homegrown philosophy. Both countries emphasize national capacity, inclusive development, and partnerships that respect independence.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for his part, mentioned that the two countries are important within global South cooperation. He said that Addis Ababa is a meeting point for African diplomacy, given that the city hosts the African Union headquarters. He remarked that elevating the relations between the two countries to a strategic partnership will infuse momentum into the relationship.
We are both fellow travelers as well as partners in the global South. We have stood shoulder to shoulder at international fora. The presence of the headquarters of the African Union in Ethiopia has positioned Ethiopia as the meeting point for African diplomacy. Inspired by the shared vision of an inclusive world, in 2023, India ensured that the African Union become a member of the G20. Keeping in mind all these aspects, today we are elevating India-Ethiopia relations to the level of a strategic partnership. This step will infuse new energy, give new momentum, and new depth to our relations. A clear roadmap will be prepared to realize the vast potential that lies in the future for us. Today, we have had the opportunity to discuss key aspects of our cooperation, such as economy, innovation, technology, defense, capacity building, and multilateral cooperation.
The two leaders presided over the exchange of 3 key agreements. These included an agreement on mutual administrative assistance in customs matters designed to enhance cooperation, transparency and efficiency in customs administration and trade facilitation. They also signed a memorandum of understanding on the establishment of a data center within Ethiopia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs aimed at strengthening digital capacity, data management and institutional efficiency. In addition, an MOU on United Nations peacekeeping cooperation was exchanged, reinforcing the two countries' joint commitment to international peace, security and multilateral cooperation. On the international arena, both Ethiopia and India are among the largest contributors to UN peacekeeping missions, making the agreement a significant step in deepening coordination and capacity building in this area, particularly by elevating the bilateral relationship to a strategic partnership. Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed have signaled that the future of the Global South will be defined by self-reliance, digital sovereignty and mutual respect rather than the donor-client models of the past. Ethiopia occupies a unique and powerful position as the heartbeat of continental diplomacy and the cradle of Pan-Africanism. As the permanent seat of the African Union and the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, Addis Ababa is the diplomatic capital where the collective aspirations of 1.4 billion people are forged. Global media analysts noted that by strengthening this specific link, India is effectively securing its most vital gateway to the 54 nations of Africa, honoring a legacy of independence and solidarity that dates back to Ethiopia's role as a founding member of the OAU, which is now transformed to AU. At the state banquet held in his honor at the Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed described the visit by the Indian Prime Minister to Ethiopia as being beyond a conventional diplomatic occasion. Rather, it is of high importance and will fuel transformation.
Your visit, Mr. Prime Minister, is beyond a diplomatic occasion. It is a meeting of two nations that understand how careful planning and bold ideas can fuel transformation. Mr. Prime Minister, Ethiopia and India stand at the threshold of great opportunities. Our history is long, our bonds are deep, but the most important chapter of our journey lies ahead. Like India, we believe in building our strengths at home. Like India, we believe in engaging the world while safeguarding our independence. Mr. Prime Minister, your vision of self-reliant India, anchored in practical governance and broad strategic partnership, speaks directly to us. It resonates with our philosophy of Madamar, the belief that when we act together, we multiply our strengths. Our nations draw wisdom from ancient civilizations, yet strive to build modern, capable states for the next generation. This shared outlook opens wide opportunities.
On the occasion, Premier Abiy Ahmed conferred the highest award of Ethiopia, the Great Honor Nishan of Ethiopia, upon Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his exceptional contribution towards strengthening India-Ethiopia partnership and for his visionary leadership as a global statesman. Speaking on the occasion, Prime Minister Modi noted that it was an honor for him to accept the award from one of the most ancient civilizations of the world, and he did so with a deep sense of humility and gratitude.
I have just been conferred the great honor of Nishan of Ethiopia, the highest honor of this country. To be honored by one of the world's most ancient and rich civilizations is a matter of immense pride for me. On behalf of all the people of India, I accept this honor with utmost humility and gratitude. This honor belongs to the countless Indians who have helped shape our partnership.
This growing partnership between these two countries is particularly timely as both nations leverage their roles within the expanded BRICS Plus framework. As a new member of BRICS, Ethiopia serves as a crucial bridge between emerging global economies and the African continent. With India set to assume the BRICS chairmanship in 2026, the synergy between New Delhi and Addis Ababa provides a powerful template for how emerging economies can aggregate their voices to reshape global governance and advocate for African solutions to African problems. This echoes his pledge when he addressed the joint session of the Ethiopian Parliament. There, he said that his country is ready to work with Ethiopia to amplify the voices of the global South. He made this statement after laying a wreath at the Adwa Victory Monument in Addis Ababa.
Last year, we marked another historic step with the inclusion of Ethiopia as a full member of the BRICS. The global South is writing its own destiny, and India and Ethiopia share a vision for it. Our vision is of a world where the global South rises not against anyone, but for everyone.
Ultimately, this visit confirms that Africa is not just a destination for the foreign policies of global powers, it is a primary partner in shaping them. Prime Minister Modi's visit to Ethiopia will be remembered as the moment India and Africa transitioned from being co-travelers to co-architects of a more inclusive and equitable global future. By elevating Ethiopia-India relations to a strategic partnership, both nations have affirmed a common resolve to champion self-reliance, multilateralism, and global South leadership in an increasingly fragmented world.